All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The visitors section, we have Mr. Oh, there he is. If you don't mind, Mr. Kelly, could you speak into the microphone so we can all hear?
Concerns about the grass growing over the guardrails at Third Avenue. Somebody was on what was the name of that? No, it wasn't over the guardrail. But all we got these guys out to there. Get to the point there on that one area where you can't see far enough ahead to get to the car coming around the curve and all. There's only one other thing I'll make quick. As far as the gutter, I guess out there on where Kathy got killed. I contacted the State Department of Highway about that, and we talked to the commissioner this week. Because, I'd rather belligerent with me and said this, you know, normal, all kind of stuff. And so I'm going to talk to him about see if they can get that covered over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly. We have with us this evening Jamie Coleman. She's been our AmeriCorps volunteer for. We're very proud of the work that she's done. Not only is she largely responsible for the concert series, but a multitude of the work at Arnold Cemetery and working with the Historic Landmarks Commission. Jamie has accepted a position with Preservation Alliance. And while we're certainly sad to see her go, we appreciate everything that she's done for the city of Weston. And we'd like to present you with this certificate for your service. And if you'd like to say anything, Jamie, you're more than welcome to.
I would just, this is working out, but I would like to say thank you for kind of get real world, real on the job experience right out of college. It's kind of hard for some kids to find that opportunity in a safe place, especially with appreciate it working with me and it was helpful. There's never, you know, all the outings, but also having American people that
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone with a picture?
Yes.
Okay.
I stepped through to that.
Uh-huh. Sure, come on up.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. You guys want to get up and-
Yeah.
Tag.
Okay.
Ready? Smile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for. Yeah. If I can be of any help at any point.
Hey, don't worry. We know your number.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll call.
Next, we have with us Mike Perry, Local Government Specialist, Office of the State Treasurer.
What's on its plan?
Is it coming on?
Yeah.
You want me to hit a couple of lights?
That's up to you. It should fire up there. I don't know. Can you all see that okay? Can you see? Good evening.
Let's see if your mic is on. I think that my mic might be the only one that's working.
This mic is on.
Yeah.
Mayor, council, administrative staff. Delegate Berkham. It's good to be with you. On behalf of Treasurer Riley Moore, I'm here to just introduce myself to the city and some of the programs and services that I am the liaison for between the Office of the Treasurer and the local governments that I work in. And just want a brief presentation for you to cover some of those things. And it's nice to be here. I was here for the commission not too long ago. So it's interesting coming back to this same spot. But my name is Mike Perry. I am originally from Harrison County and I have three wonderful kids. My oldest daughter, who's a senior at Marshall, she ran cross country against Lewis County, and I've been down here many, many, many times. So it's nice to be back in the area. I have friends that are Steelers fans, and I don't know if any of you remember, but Gene Edwards from Weston, he actually had the opportunity to be he had the opportunity to coach the Pittsburgh Steelers, but turned him down. I was surprised. I was reading about that. I know, right? And I'm excited to go to the military museum. I'm a Navy guy myself, and I haven't been to see that. So can't wait to visit some of the normal spots. But just briefly, the state treasurer is the chief financial officer of the state of West Virginia. He oversees cash management of the government. I don't expect y'all to read that. This is simply just an overview. He is the 24th state treasurer, took office about a year and a half ago. And there are 13 local government specialists in the state. I am one of them. I serve basically as a liaison between the citizens, public entities, businesses, providing education about the programs and services from the treasurer's office. I cover 6 counties. I just picked up Lewis. I had Upshur prior, and it made sense to just fill in the blank there coming down the interstate. So, and I reside in Harrison County, but I travel to Charleston, to Morgantown, and of course cover the 6 counties on behalf of the treasurer. I'm going to cover some of these, so I'll just get right to it to save time. First, the Treasury has the unclaimed property division. If you're not familiar with that, it is the only legitimate unclaimed property in the state. There's a lot of scams that we battle out there, but I try to set up in county courthouses. I was actually just at Bunn's grabbing dinner, which was really good, talking to some folks about their unclaimed property, but we handle that through the Treasury. If you have any questions on that, please give me a call. I can put you in touch with any staff member through the unclaimed property division. There's a new program called Cash Now. You will not, unless you have property individually, the treasurer is trying to make anything $5,000 or less more efficient. So you'll get a letter. Once you confirm the letter, the residents can return that and they'll cut the check right from the auditor. So anything above $5,000, it takes a little bit more process, and that's where I get involved and can be a liaison for those folks and your citizens. So please be aware of that. Again, unless it's through the Treasury, it's not legit in the state at all. BTI, the Board of Treasury Investments, basically invest funds under management through the state. Executive Director Kara Hughes and I work directly with small communities. I'll give you an example. The town of West Milford recently had some CDs that came due. And so Kara came up, visited with the council, and just gave them some options through BTI for those short-term investments. So BTI is there for that. The board is presided over, of course, by the treasurer. Governor Justice is on that board as well. 529, if you're not familiar with this, please make sure you become familiar with it. It's the 20th anniversary of the 529 College Savings Program. Basically, it's a vessel to save for college. I started my daughter a little too late. I wish I would have got her in there sooner. But when we did the commission meeting recently, Jan Otta, who is the director for the state, made himself available to the county. So if you need him to come in, we work with large organizations. But the 529 is administered through the state treasurer's office. And it is a phenomenal way to save for college. Can be used for a lot of different things. On that note, it is the 20th anniversary. The treasurer is I've got scholarships of $20,000 for 14 and under students in the state of West Virginia. So if you get on the website, you can scan that little QR code, and anyone 14 or under, please have them register for that. Obviously, the more that do so, the better. But there are three $20,000 Smart 529 scholarships that we're giving away in reference to the 20th anniversary. So just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that that's going on. And again, if you need anyone from the treasurer's office to help you with that, that's what I'm here to do. West Virginia Able is an investment tool for individuals with disabilities to help them save up to $15,000 per year. It helps also protect against Medicaid and supplemental security income. So this in action, unfortunately, only 1% of West Virginians are familiar with this. The ABLE is a federal program. It's just administered through each state. Ours is West Virginia ABLE. For example, if you have a child with autism and they want to work, usually they cap out at so many hours because they're not allowed to work so many hours and they could lose their benefits. Well, if they put their money into this type of account, that money can be invested for future use, and it gives them the ability to save for their own financial future. It's a phenomenal program. We're going to be doing a regional workshop with Roxanne Clay, who's the state director in Upshur County in about 2 months. We're just getting the plans underway, and we're going to go from county to county as well. It just happens to start in Upshur. But be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to get Roxanne here or have you speak with her directly. Jumpstart is the brand new program that launched in July. Similar to the 529, this is a savings vessel. The legislature put this on and it began in July of this year. I'm proud to say my youngest son, who's 18, is the first one that opened an account. He is at the Tech Center in Harrison County. And what this does, it allows parents, really anyone, to save through the state of West Virginia. Currently, you can put funding in there for certifications and licensing in the trade fields. You can use it for tools and equipment, as well as business startup costs. So anyone from a hairstylist to a mechanic, this is a tax benefit for them to put that money aside and use it for future educational expenses. It's the first of its kind in the nation. Treasurer Moore is actually getting calls from other legislators across the country trying to do something similar, and they're working to make this a federal program in Congress as we speak. So it's a great state program. It's a great savings tool for those that are working in the trade fields. You may already be familiar with West Virginia Retirement Plus. It is for all eligible. It's a deferred compensation plan, to help secure retirement. Basically, Pat Jack, who's an Upshur County resident, he actually held my position before they made him director. We work with pretty much any government entity and subdivision to allow this for your employees, and it gives them a chance to save additional money on top of PERS or whatever program that you're offering. So if you're not familiar with West Virginia Retirement Plus, that's managed through the state treasurer's office. Pat, myself, and Catherine, who's the regional director or regional rep for Empower, will come and work with your personnel, set them up. You can start it as low as $10 a month, and it travels with them to any agency. So it's a great way to save in addition to whatever retirement you may have. As we all know, you're not going to have enough, so additional tools are always out there. My mom's a public school teacher, so I know that one very well. Financial education program called Get a Life. Katie Harmon is the director of this. Her mother started the program. We're basically targeting 8th grade students. We're going to be working with Lewis County Middle School, all the middle schools in the state, bring in this program. It teaches financial education for 8th graders. Basically, we try to work with chambers of commerce and set up tables within the school, and the students will come around, buy insurance. They'll get a job. If they have no education, they'll get a job if they work in a trade, and they'll get a job if they work in something with college education. And it teaches them the differences in their financial future. It allows them to purchase items from TVs to insurance to healthcare. It shows them the value of a dollar and how it works. It's been going on for some time. Katie travels the state. And now with the cooperation of the National Guard, they're working on a high school edition. So that'll be coming out pretty soon. My son, who graduated last year, my oldest son, who graduated high school last year, I was shocked how little he knew about financial planning, and he was a senior. So it's certainly something that's needed. If you hear about Get a Life, please participate in that program within the school system. You may have heard about the West Virginia GoPay. 2021, the legislature passed requiring all political subdivisions to offer online payments. That begins March 1st of this upcoming year. The state treasurer offers the GoPay service as a tool. It doesn't mean it's the one you have to use, but it is available for cities and political subdivisions to use to allow your citizens to purchase or make their fees online. I gave Joe the brochure. I'm happy to give the city manager one as well. If you have any questions on this, I'd be glad to put you in touch with anyone within the division that works through GoPay. With that being said, I'll be available after the meeting for any questions. I have my cards if you need them. And it's great to be here. And again, on behalf of Treasurer Moore, thanks for letting me present to you guys. And it's great to be with the city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. You have flyers available for the, no, the, either the Jumpstart or the West Virginia Eagle.
Yes, I have all of that. I'll make sure you get some.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Jim Gum of the 911 Center. And I asked him to come this evening because I've been attending the Lewis Upshur Emergency Planning Commission meetings since I've been holding office. And when I attended my first one, I really didn't know what they did. But it's amazing to me the responsibilities that this group has and how active they are in Lewis County. So I asked Jim to come and give us a brief overview of. So the floor is yours.
I will try to be brief since I see that you have a full agenda. Mayor spoke with me today a little bit and I wanted to know what all you really wanted to know about. The Local Emergency Planning Committee was a reauthorization act in 1986 for emergency planning for a Community Right to Know Act. And with that, we're responsible for hazardous analysis and response. However, our committee is not a response committee. We oversee and help facilitate planning for the responses. Our committee consists of members from elected officials, law enforcement, firefighting, emergency medical services, 911, emergency management, RACES, which is amateur radio, the Citizens Corps Council, our regional response team to hazardous materials, public health directors, behavioral health, hospitals, transportation, both Board of Education and Department of Highways personnel, broadcast and print media, owners and operators of covered facilities, and interested community groups. And when we're talking about owner and operators of covered facilities, covered facility is any agency that stores and uses hazardous materials. So we're talking Schlumberger, gas companies, all the oil and gas fields that operate in our county. A lot of the things that we're over is, like I said there a minute ago, we're over the hazardous analysis. And it's the committee's responsibility to be aware of what companies, chemicals they store, what chemicals they're using, how they transport it, what are their safety measures? And that's not only for this county, but Upshur County also. One of the big things that we do is we assist in getting grant money from the state to redo and assess our current plans, make sure they're up to date. Right now that we're in the process of doing what's called a commodity flow study. And we're monitoring what chemicals are being transported on our highways. They're in Lewis County, they're doing 2 spots on 79, one at the rest area, one at the Jane Lou. They're also doing Route 19 at Jane Lou Fire Department and also doing Route 33 here near Schlumberger. And they monitor those different areas in 4-hour blocks. The interstate gets a total of 24 hours monitored. And they do that, try to do it at in a 24-hour block, but it may not be the same day. But they try to cover all the time periods. And once they compile all that information, then they'll give us a report and they'll break it down to how much hazardous materials flowing through our county, how much of it is truck traffic, but it may not be actually hazard materials. It may just be water trucks or sand trucks but we're really responsible for all the hazard materials. And we do meet every other month. The next meeting I seen on the agenda you had for the 28th, it's actually the 21st. It's always the third Wednesday. And it will be held in Upshur County at the Police and Fire Department building.
I think that was a typo. I think.
Yeah,
they meant
that's
Lewis
fine.
County EDA.
Yeah, that's fine. But no, the main purpose of the Emergency Planning Committee is just to assist with response plans for not only my office, but for fire departments, for EMS, for law enforcement, to assist with the county agencies' response, the city agencies' response. I know over the years ago, I think we offered to assist in doing a emergency response plan. I don't know that that was done. I know we talked about it before, but that's probably something we could work on getting some assistance with. If you have any questions, I'm available anytime.
Probably does need updated from what they have. I know you and
Yes.
Mike talked about that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, mine also needs updated too. So but the years of COVID, we haven't had much time to update. So that's one of my big priorities this time. So
any questions for Jim?
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. I
Appreciate everything that you
your
do.
time. Request for waiver of required business licenses for vendors for Oktoberfest and Miracle on Main Street.
First of all, I'm looking at 4 times when we do it all right now, it's just waiver. So, I mean, one's under new business and one's under other outside.
Restructure this.
This is her video. I have. We can amend the agenda. That way you don't have to stay through all that. If you
I
don't want to.
appreciate it. Well, yeah, that's because she has the Oktoberfest and the application for September. I move to amend to allow her to do all her business.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all,
instead of calling it Oktoberfest, we had to make a change on it because we had to move it from October to September. So it is now called the Fall Festival. And the dates, a few dates, times had to be changed. It's now September 17th, which is 2 weeks away, instead of October 1st. And the time, instead of from 12 to 8, will be 12 to 7. And then the Miracle on Main, the times were changed from 11 to 6. This was done in our meeting of last week.
And Miracle on Main is when?
It is December 3rd, and it's from 11 to 6. It's still the same day, it's just a different time. Okay, Terry's not here tonight. She had some things to do. She was running a little bit behind. I'll go ahead and what we were wanting to do, since it's only 6 hours on one and 7 the other, if they could waive the vendor license or the business license just for that period. After all, they've done it in the past. I don't know how you do it now, but this is to bring people into Weston, and that's the whole point of the festivals. So we're just asking the city council if they would mind waiving just for the vendors that are set up.
What's the recommendation from the city manager?
A whole lot of thought. I don't necessarily have a problem with the treaty, what's our standard policy?
We have prior, but we did it as a one-time thing. This is not a one-time thing. October, then it's December. So it's kind of two things. It would probably be easier in the future if we do the business license and wait for the
In the future. Because we have 28 vendors right now coming, but I know if they have to pay that business license of $35, after paying the $10. Is it 35 now? 15. Oh, it's only 15 now. Okay. All right.
Brian, I got a
Yeah, I
suggestion.
mean, but I thought we were-
Good.
Can the event get a business license and cover the vendors?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Have we done that in
Judy says
the
no.
past? Is the event actually a business, or is it just?
What they do on the Fall Fest, we raise the money to put on the Miracle on Main Street, because that's what goes towards paying for the horse and buggy and stuff for bringing people in. We do that for free. But we do charge $10 a table to set up, but that's because we have to earn the money for December. We're not making anything personally off of it.
Yes.
It all goes back into the coffers for the city.
I know it's really difficult to get vendors to set up at these festivals because they really don't make a lot of money. It's not real profitable. It's not a lot of long hours. And you never know about the turnout. You never know about the weather.
Yeah, rainy days.
So I think
Some are
that's-
churches and school organizations.
they are, most of them are nonprofits. Yes.
I can't hear.
She's getting ready to state it.
Speak out of the microphone.
Oh, okay. I moved to. How do you want me to say that? To waive the business license for the vendors at the Fall Festival and the Miracle on Main. Those were the two events, correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion?
Saying there, if you have any other events this year, I'd say we offer that to those events as well for this year. We'll try to revisit that issue. Some kind of policy. Yeah.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, did you have a comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, next.
Okay, now, again, under new business, under E, it's not Oktoberfest, it's Fall Fest. I didn't tell Judy, so yeah, it's not Judy's fault. We had that meeting and like, spurred it on.
You didn't have to.
Okay, what we're doing, I think you got them in the packets. I have went up to the state road today. And as usual, the city has to approve first, so the road closure, and it's from first to second. And anyway, they told me that as long as the chief of police, fire department chief, the mayor, the city manager, and the street department sign, it's a go. And I told them I was coming to this meeting tonight. I've got the application for the Department of Highways here in my packet. And they're already filled out. I just have to bring them back. It's not Gary Weaver this year, it's Michelle Miller. And they said they still see a problem with it. Okay, the time plan for the Fall Fest from 12 to 7, and we don't start, it's 1 to 6. We'll give them an hour leeway to bring the vehicles in to set up, and an hour to get out with the vehicles. And then the Miracle on Main, it's 11 to 6, and we have an hour each way on that too. So that way, the festival's not as long as it used to be because of the weather and getting dark early. So what I'm doing here tonight is to ask you all to please agree for the road closure. There's a map. Is that map in your package too? And what we do is we set up where the MC sat there by Paul Titus's building. We have to close that alley there, but we always put, and that's where the auction's at. If we have an auction, which is they park their vehicle there. So the emergency routes is down water and up through First Street out towards Gibsonville, and the other one is straight down Second. So we're not really closing anything except the part on Main. And the stores on Main Street does not have a problem with it. We've asked 4. I mean, we never did have a problem. I didn't ask all of them, but 4 of them agreed.
Questions for Betty, or is council ready to take action on her application?
I'll move to approve the road closures
For both Fall
for
Fest?
both Fall Fest and Miracle on Main.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. It's, if you would not mind, sign both of them tonight and give them to Judy, and I'll stop in and talk to her tomorrow and get copies and stuff. If that's okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you for that.
Thank
My
you.
last thing on the, is our neighborhood watch meeting is tomorrow night here. We do have a few people new coming. It's going to be our last one for the year unless there is an emergency and we have to meet. I know neighborhood watch, a lot of people think it's just an organization that people want to get their name out there, but it's not. When that little Aaliyah come up missing, we were right there helping them set up, and we stayed through the whole thing. Whenever there's emergency, like the tornado, or we work with 911 through CERT team and stuff, we were right there helping them. So the derecho, not a tornado, but a derecho. So anyway, but we're there for any kind of emergency. We're the eyes and ears for the community, we're health. So if anybody wants to come to the meeting tomorrow, it's at 6 o'clock here in this room.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Guys.
And next, Delegate Burkhammer was gracious enough to accept our invitation to come this evening to discuss a little bit about Amendment 2 and what's on the horizon for this upcoming legislative season.
Yeah, well, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come and speak. I've always said it's seems like a lot of the community doesn't get information out and doesn't know a lot of things that are coming up on the ballot. And so I appreciate this opportunity because I've been looking for this throughout the fall to try to get it out. So you have 4 constitutional amendments that'll be on the ballot. One is pertaining to judicial impeachment process. The other one is church corporation. One is Education Accountability Act. And then Amendment 2 is actually the Property Tax Modernization Amendment. And so I just want to give you kind of a backstory. to think about. So in July, Governor Justice celebrated that we had a $1.3 billion surplus. In my rural math, that's an overtax of the people. So we have a budget of about $4.5 billion and we overtaxed $1.3 billion. In July of this year was another 92 million. In August, just recently released, was another 141 million. And the legislator has worked really hard to keep a flat budget to try to minimize the size of government, not allow it to grow, and be fiscally responsible. So then the question begins to lie is where do you begin to give that tax money back to the people? In 21, July of 21, we used surplus mainly for a lot of roads. The Roanoke underpass that seemed to go on for quite some time was part of that funding. Center Street was part of that funding. Route 33 toward Camden was part of that funding as we've continued to invest in roads and water projects and different infrastructure. But so we began to look at ways to try to get the money back to the people, and probably watch the news. We're actually still currently in special session. We'll be going back next week. I'm not optimistic that we'll get anywhere, but is personal income tax reduction, or property tax, or what can we do? Well, some of the legislative hands are tied on what they can do, and that is why Amendment 2 is up. So what Amendment 2 does not do is it doesn't change any tax structure. You're going to see a lot of things coming out of the news, and a lot of people are coming out, they're saying you're going to do this and you're going to do that. It doesn't do any of that. It only allows the legislator to begin to look at those things, and then they can make change. So even if this passes in November, which I hope it does, it wouldn't be until January of next year during session. A new legislator is going to come in, and then they're going to have the ability to begin to look at those things. So I wanted to just read really quick what Amendment 2, the general purpose is. It's a long summary if you want to read it, but it actually only changes a couple sentences in it. But the purpose is to amend the state constitution by providing the legislator with authority to exempt tangible machinery and equipment, personal property, directly used in business activity, and tangible inventory, personal property directly used in business activity, and personal property tax on motor vehicles from ad valorem property taxation by general law. And so it is allowing the legislator to look at essentially those three things. One would be business equipment. The other one would be business inventory, and the other one would be motor vehicle tax by the county. And so what are these taxes currently going for? And these are your county property tax. So that's why it has become a point of contention throughout some of it. Our local county commission has come out in opposition, completely support it. They have to protect their budget, and we're not positive of it. Had a lot of conversation with them about that, but this is county budget. And so there's a lot of talk about this goes to Board of Education. That's absolutely right. It goes to fire, it goes to EMS, it goes to police. It goes to our county and the functioning of the county. And so the question is then, so we're just going to cut that tax, and are we going to do anything with it? And a lot of people would like us to go ahead and say exactly what we're going to do with it. And we have not done that yet. There's several different ideas. But I want to make it very clear that we are not defunding county government. And that will not in any way affect city government. We know and understand as a legislator that those things are the backbone. Our Board of Education, continuing to fund it, our police, our fire, our EMS, our local county governments are the backbone of our communities, and we are not looking to defund them in any way. Why are we doing it then? Is economic growth. So if you look at the last census that we took, we lost population. Luckily, Lewis County was one of the 4 counties, I believe, that grew in population very slightly, but we did grow. But as a state, we lost population, we've lost business. And just to give you an example, on the taxes that we are cutting, that we would be removing, Lewis County already dropped from in 2017, they were gathering $5 million in taxes, and that has dropped to in 2021 projections of 3 million. So we've already lost 2 million because we're losing business and we're not doing that. So this is a creative way to try to start business, good tax structure. Several people own businesses in here, as well as I do. We understand the good tax structure means a lot when we're investing in the state. What this also does is it not only incentivizes new businesses to come in, and West Virginia's worked really hard to do that. We spent a lot of more tax money bringing new core in to Mason County. We've invested through economic development, various things, and that all incentivizes new businesses to come in, and we support that. But I would say this supports the backbone of West Virginia, our communities and the small businesses that have been here and operating year after year. And it gives them that tax break, as well as everyone, shouldn't say everyone, maybe some of you all walked here, but just about everyone drove here and owns a car. And if you know, we get taxed on everything that we use on that car. When we buy the car, when we put tires on the car, when we put gas in the car, when we try to get the license on the car, I mean, there's fee after fee after fee. And so we looked at this as a simple way to put some money back in the pockets of West Virginians by cutting the car tax out of that. And so it falls into several categories when you look at what is part of this. You have machinery and equipment, furnitures and fixtures, leasehold investments, computer equipment, inventory, vehicles are your categories. And again, to give you the stat I already did, in 2017, that total for Lewis County was 5 million and some change, or 2017, I'm sorry. And in 2021, it was 3 million and some change. And so we're already decreasing. Can we be creative and utilize this as a tool to then grow business and try to reverse this trend? Answer any questions that you might have on that. Does that help explain?
So you're saying the revenue stream is declined,
Yes.
but the population has risen slightly.
In Lewis County, it was a minimal increase. Throughout the state, it was a total decrease across the state. But Lewis County did have the other 3 counties, I think, that grew with all the Eastern.
The total impact to the state as far as to the county.
465 million each year. Yeah, that's an annual 465 million impact.
That's what will be lost.
Yeah. But it will be made up in some way.
How? See, that's the scary part.
And I understand that.
Municipalities also will lose. This is going to affect municipalities as well. We stand to lose about 70,000
So
a year.
So several ideas are floating around. The number one thing that is kind of easy, simple, and it's about 250 million is a 1% sales tax for the county. So that obviously still leaves a small gap in there, but that's where that $1.3 billion surplus comes in. Instead of we already have a $1 billion rainy day fund. So now we have an additional 1.3 billion. And we're
Your short.
yes, and then we've already collected this year over 200 million. So I mean, we're going to even surpass what we did last year. And so that's where that comes in, is then a mechanism to backfill the counties through all of that surplus.
How
And
about municipalities?
it would be the same way. There would be a backfill mechanism to make the counties whole, so that there's no revenue loss from today to tomorrow, if it passes. That makes sense. I mean, there's nothing in statute yet. The amendment hasn't passed.
Right.
So again, the amendment only gives us the ability to even look at it, to begin to formulate that plan.
Right.
So the city already has 1% sales tax. So if the county does that mean city residents will have to take 2%?
That is correct. But they're also going to get a $1.4 million back on their vehicles just in this county.
Is the city going to get any of that? Is that?
On the sales
That's
tax,
not good to us.
no, you'd have a county sales tax. You're already collecting a city sales tax.
No, we just lose.
Would you say 1.4?
Yeah, vehicle tax for Lewis County is 1.4 million, 1.4 and some change.
You're saying that's coming back, if that's split up individually for each individual family, what would they see? What would they get?
17,000 and some Lewis County residents. I'm not sure what that.
We need to find a place to spend that money in Lewis County.
The new market on the other side of town.
That is a little bit worrisome, though.
I can understand
For
and
the
completely
city.
respect that.
Yeah.
And, you know, from my view is, and again, I've told the county commission the exact same thing. I understand you guys have a responsibility to protect the county and its budget, and I fully respect that. And, but, you know, looking at it from the state side of things, when we have seen such a decline over time, and I do feel like that we're starting to rise out of this. But I think this is one of the mechanisms that we can use to build back, you know, lost economy and to bring businesses in. Then there are minimal states that do not have this tax. And so I think it could be a great resource. And so just to even give you, so like, does it impact people? Yeah, I went to Indie Papers in Fairmont, and they get zero new investment in their facility because of the equipment inventory taxes placed on them. And it costs them so much that they make any investment, and it all goes to their sister plant, I believe in Wisconsin. And they've expanded like 4 times over the last like 8 years. And Fairmont puts in for it and doesn't get it. And they tell them it's simply because of not just the initial investment, but what it's going to cost them over the life of that equipment. And so it does have impact on decision making when you're buying millions of dollars worth of equipment, installing it, and you're getting taxed for it sitting there. But I totally agree and understand that there is some concern, but I feel that the Republican majority has made great leaps and bounds over the last several years, and keeping a flat budget. We've cut food tax, we've cut tax on Social Security income. We've done things, and we're just continuing to chip away in a positive direction, as well as over the last couple of years, COVID helping us. The population of West Virginia has begun to reverse a little bit, but we've got to make sure we keep jobs so we can keep families here. Good paying jobs, and that's what these things. That's what they do.
I think it's safe to say that we would just ask, as you're deliberating how to backfill for the county, remember the city hurts too, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Just think of us, yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I talked to several councilwomen, sorry, councilmen, but during session, and I appreciate that, and you know, please text, call anytime. Work for you guys.
Sure,
And,
I want to thank you for your availability. I mean, when I'm texting you, when you're on the floor and you accept a text, I mean, you're listening to your constituents, and I appreciate it.
Yes, you're very responsive.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough.
Yep.
Thank you.
Again, I appreciate that, that I've got that open communication, because we do all have to work together to move this ship forward. And, so I appreciate you guys, what you're doing with Weston, and I'm thankful for the direction that it's headed, and I'm thankful that I can communicate with you guys and we can do it together. So,
Thank you.
and I appreciate everybody else that's keeps making things happen over here. So. Any other questions?
They're the engine on the bus, yes, for sure.
We're seeing other towns like New Martinsville, get Proctor, Campbell, you know, major employers, employ 200, 300, 400 people. What can we do at our level? We need that in Lewis County. We need a major employer that pays a good living wage you can raise a family. If you look around this town, it's getting older and older and older because people can't raise a family.
So I know, like with Nucor, it was all infrastructure and it was accessibility to the Ohio River. They wanted, the majority of their stuff was going to come in and leave on barge. So I think it is a lot of infrastructure is what we need. We need flat property, but then we need infrastructure in that as well. That's water, sewer, roads, good broadband, accessible by rail, accessible by truck. And again, we're not ever gonna get the barge on the West Fork out here.
We're within a day's drive of probably at least a third of the population of the States. So we do have road accessibility. We're never gonna have rails like we used to again.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't count rail out. I mean, they're relaying a bunch of rail over Upshur County, Barber County into the new mine over there. And so I think if the industry is here and the company's here, I see no reason why we can't get that infrastructure here. But we've got to be willing to kind of invest those things. And I know, talking to the city, but I think the county is trying to do some things to get infrastructure in place and get engineering done and all of those things, because it's a battle with 54 other counties when we're looking at those things to be site ready, shovel ready, so that we can move on stuff. So, but again, and I would say that with the city as well. I mean, you have to make those investments early and be ready. So when it comes, yeah, I've got water, I've got sewer, I've got the road, I've got everything here, and here's the site.
I know the one that just went in Taylor County, that with the site ready, the building, everything, the battery. That's one thing there.
I think you have to consider tax payments and things like that. Let the employees pick up the additional revenue for a while. You gotta entice those companies, right? Not just site ready. You're gonna have to entice them, because if you don't offer them, you know, somebody else will.
And I think that's the argument when you look at things. I mean, am I a huge fan of the amount of money we spent to get Newport here? No, but Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, we're all sitting there ready with their checkbooks, willing to write those checks. And so we've got to either learn to play the game as responsibly as we can, and get them here and understand there is tax revenue on the backside of that. And population grows, we're not cutting property tax. So we're building homes, we're doing, property taxes increasing, sales taxes increasing, all of those things that come on the backside is where you see the growth, and at least where those experts see that big impact coming in, where you give those breaks to get in here, but then it pays for itself over X amount of years on the backside. And that's what Amendment 2 is set up to do, is essentially pay for itself over time. Because right now they're saying we have $150 million of just natural growth. They're saying that should be a little higher just in the price of things. So your sales tax is higher because we're paying more for everything. But just that continual inflation, if it was normal inflation, gives you $150 million. So if we can speed that up with growth in population, the 465 million pays for itself rather rapidly. But again, I just feel like do we settle, and I don't mean this as a personal jab, but do we settle for status quo? Or do we get creative and try to push the envelope forward? And maybe it's not in this manner. Maybe somebody's got a different idea, and I'm open for that, and I'll help champion any idea, but I don't settle for status quo real well, and just looking to move the state, our community forward best we can. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Next, we have a list of the committees and their next meeting dates. Under the Weston Housing Authority, Larry Gransinger, who currently serves on the board of directors. His term is expiring, and they would like for council to consider his reappointment for an additional 5-year term.
I move to reappoint Larry Rancier for an additional 5 years on the board of directors for the House.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. And Judy, Arby asked if you would type up a letter stating that the reappointment was made at this meeting. Item K, I believe, was the meeting. And we still have 2 available position plus an alternate position on the board of zoning appeals. Next, we have the sanitary board report.
We had Senegro, the contractor, for sludge removal yesterday, but today down to start the sludge removal at the plant, and that throughout the rest of this week to get as much of that sludge removed as they can. Michael Incorporated installed the second blower that was supposed to be installed when we had to start up on that last week, and everything seems to be operating fine. One blower will operate at a time, but we always have to have a second one there for standing by whenever we need it. It's nice to know that it's there in operation. Had a lightning strike during the storm this past month, which took out several pieces of equipment, not major pieces of equipment, but some of the equipment there at the plant, and more insurance company to get those replaced or repaired. I think that is about all at the plant. Rob did want me to mention tonight, and I think Kurt was even on some of that maybe today with one of the lines, and where to, Marty? That we were working on last week, beginning of this week. It was nothing but just wipes, and that's really the only thing that it was. We went out, residential line was stopped up, the load jet hose out, the jet hose stopped because it was just jammed completely full. The hose stuck, which is leak. We just left it, abandoned it until everything was drained back out of it. Went back out, we had to replace part of their line, part of our line, just because they won't quit using the hose. That took overtime on Friday, that took part of the holiday weekend, and that took 3 men all day today. I don't know how detrimental at times this stuff can be. I mean, it sounds like something so simple, but it's going to get the word out there because it's, again, it's took an entire day. Anyway. That's my rant for the day, I guess. I think that's all at the plant and on the line. Project wise, that's the update on that. We did get moved. Everything at the office has been moved. Everything technical wise has been moved. State auditor was supposed to be in last week. Moved for that date, so we're waiting on the new date for that. Hoping to get that done at the end of this week or first of next week. I don't know what's in the report. That's about it's outstanding there. Unless you guys have any questions or ask. Council. I did work with Marty, going around looking at some of the issues from the stormwater report that we received to see up to the other gutters and the drains hooked up to some of the stormwater drains, and we're still working to get some letters out so that we can get from the stormwater. system.
How long ago were these reports?
Those were in 2017, 2018. Those, they had a series of letters sent out, and there were people who reported back and actually responded and did some work on it.
Here, you guys completely moved now, and how's everything going?
And we have heard nothing but positive, very positive about it. Customers love the parking and the fact that they don't have to circle the block 2 or 3 times, so like easy access and. Nothing but positive.
Has it opened in yet?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I
You know
thought the
what,
ends
the
of
day
it.
you came in was the day that the rain was here.
Okay.
I said, yeah, it was- he did stop and talk to us for a little bit.
I spoke with him today, he said he didn't sweep the floor before he turned the lights out.
Serious. We mopped, we scrubbed, we did everything. I don't think he had anything to complain about. We're wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, finance report.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna invite Joe up. So we can introduce you. This is our new finance assistant. This is Sherry, Randy, Kim, Debbie, and her. And, Joe started on the 22nd of August, and got his new computers in today. And I've been working with Sutherland Soniker, and they has him doing a finance book. Policies. And he's been working, trying to get up to date with Adam at Sutherland Soniker with all of our accounts. And we're glad that he's here. Do you have anything you want to say?
I had a quick question. We have future plans to depart from the. We haven't talked about that for a while. You just
I mean, that's the
brought it
intention. Joe's already started reconciling some of the accounts that haven't reconciled with someone's stock lately. We've got an email out there trying to set up a meeting for them to come meet with us, so we can get even more of that process started. So that's the intention. I think we'll keep them on some kind of retainer, just for knowledge, wide scope of knowledge, but day-to-day stuff, we won't move all that accounts payable and stuff. Just showing himself up. You see that.
Thank you.
And I did all the bank statements from our general fund and a new thing that you got in your packet this time. To me, it was just easier to read.
I love it. I have been wanting this for like 2.5 years, or how long have I been here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is, and I love the large print of this, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I just said this is easier to read. It's down to earth. Everyone knows what it means. And I just thought it was more of a, you could catch up on things and know more about what's going on. Yes.
Susie gets an extra star beside her name.
I've asked him to say no.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
That was a bad decision.
I told him, I'm 36 years older than him, I know some things, okay? And just for your info, I'm now $2,325 short of my municipal fees from this time last year. I have to do my. What? Because you gotta do all that in questions. I'll be looking for a job tomorrow.
Just a little bit, but thank you.
Okay, next, you have the street department report. You have 2 questions.
more than like about that.
I got a couple of things if you don't have questions. You're ready.
Go ahead.
Nate and I talked today about streets. We were on that one next to DC. I think that's, we need to throw that one out the window. Because it's like we were wanting to get for like 19,000. I think they have to put about 20,000 in it. You know, something on there. So we're looking at it as we speak. A little bit more, probably like 9 years more, I think. Looking at it. So we're waiting on it. And it would be custom rebuild. Okay, so it would be a rebuild. And we do have some problems over the weekend. We got that 48-inch storm drain that we're going to have to go over and put land and locusts. We're gonna have to get down there and see what's going on. We've got some basements and stuff over there. So gonna be down there today. We backed off a little bit because try to get some monitors, monitor and stuff there. I'm ready to walk down in there since I'm sure as well. Probably walk through it. Decided not to do that. So we'll get some monitors on this. If we don't walk through it, at least we won't have to camera.
We got the papers coming.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, you'll see 80 people coming here around all of our drain inlets and everything. They'll be grinding that out and getting ready for paving on this Thursday. And yeah, there was a little bit of mix up on it, and I apologize. I wasn't there Friday. Probably should have been there when we got ready to put that out. Again, we are starting on Center Street, going all the way to 8th Street. We're going to do 8th, 7th, 6th, and then mark down to court over to the middle school. And that's probably going to take the rest of this weekend, maybe Monday. They tell me we can do 250 to maybe 275 tons a day. So if you add that tonnage up, that's just about 3 days in that area. So as we move forward each day, I'll put out another piece of paper stating that what streets will be shut down at what time. Providing we don't have undimensional workers, okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have. Unless you want something.
Thank you. I just want to compliment the street department on how nice the streets do look, all the weeds and everything cut away from the sidewalks. My aunt has been in the hospital in Morgantown, and just in Morgantown, there's weeds all over those sidewalks. So it's nice to look at our town, how nice and clean it is, and the streets. And I can't wait, to see this paving because it's going to just add so much to our town.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll pass that on to the employees again. Like I said, they do the work.
I've never seen them look bad. It's been years. I haven't seen them look sitting here.
We'll pass that on. I do thank you.
Thank you.
Police department, you have that report in your packet.
You got Drew back there. Thank you.
Thanks, service.
Does anyone have any questions for Yuri?
We speak, last meeting about an update on the newer system and the software that was brought up about the.
We passed the new computer system. You guys approved us to purchase new computers for the police group.
So, yeah, has that been done?
As far as I know, I've replaced the. They come in there.
You have those NRA? I'm just messing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was curious about that.
I do have something after the meeting. I've got like 3 citizens' concerns for Drew, if you see me later. Fire department, you also have that report in your packet. Chief Settle is here to answer your questions.
You guys been given an update on the new truck?
little bit of introduction, that's the next one. Tentative introduction. Still scheduled for February, March.
Looks like you're in the clear. Building code zoning report. You also have Marty's report in your packet. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
I have a question. This may be for Attorney as well. A camper that is hooked to a vehicle, how long can that set on a street? Yeah, regarding this.
From memory, I don't think it's anything about if it's hooked to the vehicle. I think if it's sitting there unhooked, you're allowed like.
Okay, I'm talking like a camping trailer.
You say it's unhooked.
It is hooked to the vehicle. It's been sitting there. I just had some complaints for across the street. It's difficult to get through there. Street department, you know what I'm talking about. It makes it really tight.
Comes down to our vehicle. I'd say we probably go up there and ask them.
Yeah, they did, yeah, it's just. Was concerned about that.
Any questions at all for Marty? City attorney's report.
I don't have anything else. I'll just try to see what we can do with your question now. This is council.
Thank you.
City clerk, you have the August report in your packet. City manager.
Well, first of all, we apologize for the microphone. We tested herbs and it worked, and I didn't test the rest of it this evening, so we'll try to figure that out. Moving forward there. I'll just say for the last month, we had municipal league. I think shortly after our first regular session of council, and then the next week I was out in Dill for the rest of the second week. So I really only had about 2.5 weeks of work this past month, but it's been busy. The Columbia Club roof has started, the drainage is kind of wrapped up. They'll be back to finish the site work once the roofers are in there. But I think that place looks tremendously better already, just getting the slate off. The last look, I think it's about 70% of the slate has been preserved. These guys have taken the slate off, piled it up in piles, lowered down the trash cans to the ground. So we're going to try to use that maybe for fundraising projects and maybe large. They've been pretty decent to work with. I've been impressed with it. For technical abilities, it's a tough roof. The bridge project, we're going to talk about that, but that's taking some time up. Personnel, and Susan mentioned Joe Solberg. He's really been a tremendous help to us so far, but we spent a lot of time showing him the ropes and working through our processes or lack thereof, and trying to put him on those things that kind of takes the next level. Downtown master plan, that's on the agenda. We're working that RFP. The camera one still coming. I apologize. Delay there. We'll get there. Been catching up on some pension payments. So Settled Star, we created a process where every month they were sending our pension contributions so we could stay on target with those. They had some changeovers, some things got transposed. And so I caught that and rectified that, and now we've got up on all those contributions. So we're current there as far as I can tell. Some background, think about that doing. I attended the City Manager Association breakfast we had this month, and so typically Shinson's there. He's a go-getter. Myself, Kim from up in Morgantown, and then the City Manager Bridgeport attended regularly, and Tina from Granville. So that conversation about Limit 2 stemmed from that. Bridgeport stands to lose billions, it sounds like, from their, just the way they understand it. Not only does it affect their property tax revenues or ad valorem, but their special levies, things like that that we're paying for, whether it's a rec center or additional paving, sidewalks, those get reduced in the amount that those levies are from those property taxes. So I still, color me skeptical, but I think, I think we need some solid answers. I think there's a Tug mayor, right, from Municipal League, where we're not looking to burn any bridges, but I think that there's an alarm to be sounded to say, we at least need some kind of assurance here about how this is going to work out for us. So I think there's still more answers to be gotten on that subject. So anyhow, but I wanted to make mention of that. And I guess I'll make mention. I'm sitting there listening to Delegate Burkhammer speak. My previous post was in Kansas, city engineer out there at Fort Scott, and they were just coming out of the San Brownback experiment, the Kansas experiment is what it was labeled, where taxes were reduced to generate growth, and revenues were going to go down $200 million a year, but the promised economic growth was going to be a boon to the state. And I was telling the city attorney here, I said, Kansas has plenty of flat ground for development. They have all kinds of utilities. And they're easy to install there. That growth didn't materialize. And that was a reduction of income taxes. And inevitably, the state ended up having shortfalls of hundreds of millions of dollars, and the school suffered, teachers were laid off, all that stuff happened. And so I'm not looking to get political about it. I just, coming out of that, I'm very reactive to say, there's got to be a good plan B here if this doesn't work out. And I'm not sure we've heard that yet from the legislature. So I hope we do, but I think we've got to consider maybe making our voices heard if that's something that's the will of council going forward, at least state has much. So that's what we kind of bring that up to you. Also, to change subjects, I met with sanitary board. We met with John Place. So most of our pump stations don't have any kind of telemetry, right? And so what I mean by telemetry is any kind of measurements on pump run times or levels of their wet wells, things of that nature. And so I thought we had a really productive conversation with John Place, and I think that I intuited to Brock that I wanted to explore that further about having some kind of maybe ARPA allocation to see if we can get some telemetry. Not only my first target, I think, is the combined sewer overflow. So when we know when we're having an overflow, but then second, look at those pump stations, at least the major ones, so we have an idea of how our pumps are running, when they're running, how long they're running, how much electric they're using, things of that nature. So I haven't had a chance to sit down with Brock since we had that meeting. We're all busy and things happen, but I just want to bring that to your all attention. I think that's something that's worth considering at least move forward. I want to continue to work with them and see if we can develop a project of some sort there. And then I guess I'll just wrap up and mention we've had 3 audits this past month. We're working on 3 different audits. The first is our regular audit, so we're still working with the auditors to get some required paperwork. And we thought we got what they needed, and they came back with some more requests, which is fine. So I think we'll have another follow up to that here the next day. So that hopefully wraps up here in the next month or so. And then the fire department was audited. I think the volunteer side, Randy, I think was the audit. So we provided some documentation for things that we shared on a cost share basis there. And then finally we had our workers' comp audit, and I screwed up on this one, so get ready. So we have a $20,000 shortfall in our budget for the workers' comp audit because of the audit. So that stems from our volunteers get covered under our workers' compensation package. When I provide estimates for payroll, I didn't provide any estimate for volunteers because we don't really pay volunteers outside of some small coverage shifts. But by West Virginia state law, volunteers have to be paid, I think, $7.80 or something like that an hour. And all their volunteer hours go into that workers' compensation calculation. So that leaves us with a $20,000 shortfall on our workers' comp premium, which they immediately tack onto ours, and we'll start making our payments with that. And so we don't have that budgeted, but I think all that gets paid from the city hall budget line. So I don't think we need an immediate budget revision or anything. We'll try to manage that and keep that like we've got everybody's health insurance plans are in there. So the employees that we predict we're going to hire but haven't yet, such as like the police department and even some from the finance department, those savings that we've had from not paying their health insurance premium, I think we'll be pretty close to making up that shortfall, and then that'll be on us to kind of manage that budget. Hopefully, we don't buy all the paper clips we need and all that kind of stuff to be able to cover that shortfall. But we'll watch that with close eyes as we go through the year. But I just wanted to make that known to you. That, not own that one, that was my screw up, but that was something I wasn't aware of. Make sure that's in the budget calculation.
Do most cities provide workers' comp coverage for their volunteers?
That's the way I understood it, you know, and I think it's news to me. And when I look back at our previous workers' comp, it was there. You know, and I just, every year they send us a form to fill out with our salary lines, and I just didn't put anything, volunteers go, so they don't get paid. I was trying to get things done, and didn't catch it, and we paid for it fast.
Fireman was $20,000. That's $75.
I have to go back and look at it, but I think it was, Joe, is that right about right, $20,000 for shortfall?
I think the total shortfall was about $20,000.
That's the extra employees we had.
Yeah, and we had some, yeah, we gave some raises and
That was
stuff.
not entirely.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to attack the fire department or anything like that. But
You said all 20,000 volunteers. That's not true.
thank you for correcting me. Hey, yeah, that's where we're at. And I think that, and I'm not trying to pick on the volunteers here, but I think it makes it stronger. Another case point for the first due fire and volunteers, that's a cost of running a volunteer fire department that really don't have a mechanism for recovery outside of the volunteers going out fundraising the money. And I don't think I'm not intuiting that the city shouldn't cover it. I think we should, but I think that, from our fire feed and all that stuff, we've got to put that into that equation for how we're going to fund this service. Yes. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Questions for me? Not, I'll entertain a motion to accept all of the department reports. I move to accept. Is there a second? It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, update on the 4th Street Bridge and paving projects.
Well, Mike gave some of the paving updates already, so I think that stands where it is. The 4th Street Bridge, since you got all an email I think earlier today, is from the follow-up with Cunningham. So they're targeting middle of September. They've made some modifications to the sidewalk and the approach slab. We met on site with them at the end of last week. I didn't really see any kind of issues there for them changing it. Again, we're leaning on Department of Highways' opinion. I guess the main point for us is that approach slab is not going to be attached or down into the structure at all. So for you to get in there and fix the retaining wall, or if we decide to move the sidewalk or do anything in the future, just pick that slab up, pull it out of the way. So it's not any kind of structural damage or anything like that. That's the main thrust of the conversation. So knock on wood, I think that bridge is still slated to get down in the middle of September. It seemed like everybody was in a positive place and didn't see any kind of issues pop themselves up.
So their construction and highways are agreeing now.
Yeah, I think so. The only other thing I added to that I think the contract called for like 9 tons of paving, which is the bare minimum to pave the bridge deck, it sounded like. I asked and requested that before they pave that they come speak to us and lay out what the grant of the construction endpoints were. So we don't want to have a new scene with a bunch of alligator crack pavement. So we'll look at that when they get closer, and we may end up dipping into our regular general fund to extend the paving, depending on the price, or bit of it to extend it to get us to a good stop point where we have paving to tie it to.
Next, ordinance 2022-11, an ordinance reconfiguring and redefining the roles and purpose of the Weston City Tree Board. This would constitute the second reading. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to have the second reading of this ordinance.
I'll move to approve.
Can I interject just real quick? Sure. Make that motion. I think, Mr. Weaver, you were wanting to speak to that, right?
Oh, sure.
First of all, feel free to step up to the microphone, please. Okay.
I'd like to thank Councilman Weston. Great for you to have discussed. I do have an email on your way to some document. Which covered a lot of issues besides. Just as far as this ordinance itself, I still have myself the same misgivings that I said the first time around. Express that. This is just based on what I feel, I guess, weakness at this point. Just this ordinance. In my outline. Basically, people say, street department, without, any training. Any knowledge to ISA standards. It's not a big, you don't have to be a certified person, it's like basic. But there's certain things you want to do, then sure they can don't. This lead retreat, long as we cause it damage. Cities contract, private contract. Imperative that other than full removal of those contractors. Problem was, especially around city personnel, decisions, evaluations on streets, on private property, health, structure, safety. These gentlemen are qualified. Most of, I've done some research since various tree ordinances in other cities. Basically, there's the same thread for each one. The city has the authority to do that work. That's either to be performed by, there's either an arborist employed by the municipality or there is an arborist on it. That's a consistent thread. That protects. That's something that I feel is missing. As far as the tree board itself, I understand they want to try to fold the duties of the tree board from the two. Let's get this board from Code of Appeals board. Make it their duty to not only just take appeals about judgments on tree board, try to create. Don't really think that. Like mine, whose mission is to grow trees and encourage tree planting. It's going to have a Code of Appeals board thrown in, that effort's going to get lost. I was invited to, actually, I was invited to attend the tree board, see. There are a lot of questions. Or what you actually need for a tree board, my fear is, and I expressed this in May, this ordinance that folded in the tree board into those that it might preclude in the future capital national tree board, which I think would be more efficient. Active. I do applaud, I want to thank, because I think most of you know, thank you for doing something as long as I've been here. Our tree camp, that on the same. Blueprint that was expressed that was they wanted trees and green. That was hopefully at that time. It's going to be hard to do that. I can only say that if you do it correctly, people prefer to live in communities with trees. Not just select landmark trees, but as a closer, there are trees on streets, there are trees in parks. Property values go up. There are studies been done. They're a business district without trees, has trees, the one that does have trees. That's about 4% more than other. So it is an economic. I think it's important that the city get this right. If explore all the options. This is the second reading. Expressed to me when we first worked here. The formal get together, one of the things I proposed in that time was a one. And I mentioned the one. And the reason I'm familiar with, which is basic tree work, which is about Washington, D.C. area, because that's way on the here. So maybe we can take some ideas from that, make it scalable to Weston, that compare what other municipalities in West Virginia or anywhere else comparable size of budget that we need to come up with for. Reached out to other people. Clear up one way or the other. Trees don't get a second chance.
I know Weston was Tree City USA a long time ago, and I kind of thought the overarching goal was for Weston to become a Tree City USA member again.
Right.
And one of the criteria for getting that designation is to have a tree ordinance on the books. If you are registered as Tree City USA, I think I made mention of this in the mayor's column in the Democrat, that you are provided with a forester who is, I mean, you have access to them,
Right.
to a forester who has urban design and planting experience. So I know the city of Weston cannot afford an arborist,
I'm not saying.
but at least,
And I am familiar with the Western Department. Glad to help as far as if you were to get down the line to select property. And help inventory your trees in the city. But as far as day-to-day operation, that's not going to happen as far as my conversation. I don't know who you spoke with, but that's how I've spoken with before. That's all I can say. I mean, I hate cut down a tree mistakenly, and that's good. It's going.
well, we thank you for your input. I guess at this point, there's options for having the second reading of the proposed ordinance. Can either vote to have the reading or to reject the second reading.
Well, in my conversation with Mr. Weaver, I don't necessarily have a problem with having a tree board. I think we all sit here and we look at these boards and commissions every month, and we're like, it's a struggle to find volunteers. I think he's maybe struck a chord is the right word, but through his Facebook posts, where people said, hey, I want trees in Weston, yada, yada, yada. And he brought the point to me that, have I advertised for a tree board? I have not. So I'm fine, if we want to table this one more time, I made a personal challenge to him in our meeting to say, if you can find 2 or 3 people that'll show up here and say, we want to go to tree board, I'll say, let's change the ordinance and have a tree board. And just reduce it from 7 people to 3 people. So I think to give the issue its due, if we're willing to wait another month, let's table it, and we'll see if we can find 3 people who want to go to tree board.
Say, we did talk about that. And one of the things that I was waiting on, we hadn't discussed, was what would be required to do as far as citizens, would they have to be residents and non-residents? What kind of makeup would it have to be? Or you reached out to several.
Have you gotten any interest from those people?
Oh, I can stand up on this. I didn't ask for any commitments, I just told them what was going on. And said, yes or no, is this something you might be interested in? And except for one answer, yes. I'm trying to get some sort of a broad base, again, a knowledgeable base. I'd like to get somebody with experience with tree. It's close to artists as you can get. Forester, for example, a local forester would be great. I'm also exploring the options of the through David Tree Service and using them as just a consultant. Just to see, you know, if we do run into problems or if we do call an actual certified artist, maybe they'd be willing to help us out. There's so many variables at this point. Maybe the holiday weekend. I did as much as I could in that period of time. I think I'm not making any promises, but if we could establish exactly what the parameters should be. A shot to see if they we can do it or we can't do it.
Yes.
I will say that my life's reset button has been pressed one more time unexpectedly. So this is something that we sounds like we'd like to tie up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I move to table ordinance 2022-11 ordinance reconfiguring, redefining the roles and purpose of the Weston City Tree Board. Second reading.
Is there a second? A second. Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers. Yes. Councilman Randy Bowen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Young. Yes. Councilman Kirk Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, request for proposals discussion.
I just wanted to ask if there was any further comments on those RFPs for downtown. I think Sherry said some feedback via email. If there's not anything else in the downtown, I'll try to get that out. The only other comment I want to make on that was I've reached out to JJ Jordan to see what would be required to study two-way traffic on Main Street. So I thought maybe we'd make that a component as well of the RFP. Say, if the state requires some kind of traffic study to be done in order to recommend that switch back to two-way traffic on Main Street, let's go ahead and make that part of our downtown master plan. At least a component of it that we can get a price on. We have to propose and submit it to this. If you all are okay with that.
Yes.
I'll try to get that out. And then the camera thing, I was hoping to have a discussion about that, have that from you this evening. Good attention to it.
I know someone who'll stay after you.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Counselor Gump said she did not get the master plan.
Okay, I'll email that to
I
you.
got your response, but there was no attachment.
At the last, were you at the last special meeting? I put you on the spot. I passed that out, I thought, a paper copy, but I'll send it to you.
Or if it was a first, if it was regular meeting.
Okay.
They're
Next,
probably at the beach.
mutual aid agreement, Buchanan Police Department.
Josh, that else. I think,
Yeah.
Discussion session.
I don't think it.
Okay,
Let's just table it for now. That's fine. The way I understood it is that this mutual aid agreements have a lifespan and they expire and you have to renew it. And so I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with you about it or anything like that. So I say it's probably safe to table it.
I'll move to table the mutual aid agreement with the Buchanan Police Department.
is there a second?
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, ordinance 20.
I think it's 2022-12.
Okay, 2022-12, an ordinance for long-term parking. And we would be taking action on having the first reading of that proposed ordinance.
I think there was some desire to help try to alleviate cars in the state parking places for long periods of time that interfere with civic events and interfere with street maintenance and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that's what this ordinance in your packet generally deals with. Giving people like, remember, 2 days heads up, is that, hey, you need to move your car because a parade's happening, or this parking lot won't get used for a civic event, or we gotta pave the streets or something. This it kind of outlines kind of generally the process for how we would enforce something like that.
Cover long-term parking in general outside of the event.
Not really.
No, he said that it would take two ordinances for that because it's two different animals, so to speak. And I think you sent us a copy of a first draft, if you would, of the long-term copy, or the long-term.
I can't remember what I've
I
seen.
think that was the long-term, yes, can't remember what I read. But, I think you did send us a first blush of the long-term parking issue to address that one. So this would be for special events, for instance, trying to get the riverbank we needed, maintenance on that parking lot.
Yeah.
Things that we have given them notice and they're refusing to. So, and also special events that we want to hold on the street. Did you say that was ordinance 2012?
2022-12.
Is council ready to take action on having the first reading of that ordinance?
I'll move to have the first reading of the ordinance 2022-12 by title only.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Our roll call, please.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Dump.
Yes.
Councilman Herb Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
2022-12 ordinance providing supplemental areas and times when parking on city property, in city parking lots and on city streets is prohibited. First reading by title only.
I'll entertain a motion to accept or reject the first reading of ordinance 2022-12 by title only.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump. Yes. Councilman Herb Curtis.
Motion carries. Next, Paddock's Halloween approval. I saw that in the packet too. So the date is October 29th from 12 noon to 9 p.m.
also has one.
Fireworks. Fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Hey, do you need to prove that?
Yeah. We have the fireworks. Have to send you to get you to sign off.
He's been working with Keith, right? On that, have you already talked about that?
Yeah, it's chief of police, fire department, chief.
That's not something we do that. They need to approve that before we vote.
I see what you're saying.
What is the recommendation? They're questioning whether it needs to be approved by the departments prior to us. Or do we?
I think in the past, we've had all the departments kind of sign off. Let's stay consistent. I agree.
And none of them are. Right. But these are not yours. No, none of them are approved, right? You see right in here tonight, sign it, that was, you know, Jimmy, and there's 2 Thomases in here. It's not, they will not. I have late and after the approval, then you usually sign them at the end. So,
So you want us to go ahead and
whatever's up, whatever you all want to do.
I feel pretty comfortable with the other 2 events. This event is involving fireworks. What we could do is vote to approve pending approval of the chief of police. And does that work for you?
How many signatures is on Betty's?
Every one of them, here's a copy of the form as you got a copy. Here is the chief of police, fire department, mayor, and all that. Every one of them prior before.
All on hers as well.
All of them. Even mine. I mean, I just know that.
You signed it already, didn't you?
However you want to do it.
What are we trying to prove here? We're approving the road closure, or we're approving the event?
For the fireworks.
The fireworks. What we sign? Yeah, are there 2 separate applications? Like, so we don't have like a special fireworks permit or anything like that.
We just set off the small stuff you can buy.
But I think the indication I got from him that it's going to be a little bit bigger stuff, and then you work on the key to get the proper clearances. Yeah, I think you just contact.
Sure. Would you like to sign any of it? I mean,
I'll move to approve the activity pending approval of chief of police and.
is there a second?
No.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I guess then the other thing is that in the past, we've been a co-signer with the middle school, right, for his insurance. He's asking us to continue that relationship. There is anybody having issues with that? But we're also approving.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, is there a recommendation on the city of Weston's trick or treat day? I'm sorry, what was that? Is there a recommendation on the city of Weston's trick or treat day?
Yes, I would like to have it on, well, because I have kind of pulled some people, like to have it on that Saturday, the Saturday before, which would be October 29th, since it would not be on a school night or practice night for ball teams. I think it might be easier on the Saturday between the 29th. And 6 to 7 is what I'm proposing.
Any other recommendations?
No offense, but I think after Halloween, I'm just saying.
So the other option is whatever day, the 31st, it's from 6 to 7.
It's Monday.
One of my concerns is, are we competing with Larry's event?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. This event is
I
going
like
on.
Halloween on Halloween, sorry, I told the council meeting on this as well.
Well, do we have sports events that evening? Practice until 6 and then we have 6.
Make it 2 hours, so we time.
I get through.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
You
You just help yourself. You want to make a decision about Halloween while you're up here?
No, I don't think that we are because his event's from 12 to 1. I don't think that we're competing at all. His event's from 12 to 9. Actually, it might increase his participation. Two things.
What are your thoughts, Councilman Curtis? Councilman Bowen? Thoughts?
31st is Halloween.
Oh, man, she's gonna get this down.
No, I'm just gonna have him move and move that accordingly.
Any thoughts?
How about I make a motion to have it on the 31st?
It's been moved to have it on the 31st. Is there a second?
Yeah. On the second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
It's 67.
Oh, from 6 to 7, any discussion? Okay, let's have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
No.
Councilman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gumps,
The 31st, yeah.
Councilman Herb Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. It will be the 31st. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We're 6 to 7.
Come to my house on the 29th between 6 to 7.
And go to her house on the 31st.
After the 31st, too, I get to this. There you go.
Okay, we've already taken care of items E and F, so now we're moving to First Mania at Tala, September 23rd and 24th. The application, I know I saw that in the packet.
I'll move to approve, pending approval of our chief of police. Fire chief.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're down to the Christmas parade theme. It has been recommended by the city employees.
I love that thing.
Good idea. A Toyland Christmas, the parade would be November 25th, is that Friday? At 6 p.m. I'll entertain I'm sorry.
What was the date, 31st?
Yeah,
31st November, you be there.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation for the Christmas parade theme, Toyland Christmas, and the parade to be held on November 25th at 6 p.m. I move to accept. For a second. It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's up on approval, correct?
On approval or?
On signature.
And the chief of police. You also have an invitation in your packet from the Westport Conservation District Annual Banquet. I was thinking about attending that. Is anyone else?
I think it'd be great if you could attend. If we could send something.
Yeah.
to the city.
Quotation for fire department turnout gear.
Never do.
I was like, there's so close back. We went with the way emergency solutions last year. And their gear is just going through the roof. Volunteers voted to go with the fire station's fire equipment. They're about 4 cents also. So about 4 cents. $10,360. $12,000 budget. The other year quote from the bank was $12,292.
Which one was you recommending?
Fire station's fire equipment, $10,360.
I'll move to approve.
In the amount of 10,000.
10,360 from fire chasers.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Young. Yes. Councilman Herb Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. In your packet is it's a letter template to Senator Manchin. I'm assuming that you've had time to take a look at that. Some county commissions have adopted this and sent letters to Senator Manchin. And we received a request from Paul Fallon with Orion. I couldn't think of that. Thank you. And if you are so inclined, I'll entertain a motion in support of this correspondence with Senator Manchin. Nate, did you have something you wanted
I
to
was
say?
waiting for Ward 2 fan to say that.
Well, I just like to see all of our names on it.
I think we can make that happen.
Can I share a little bit of my personal politics? Is that- is that how-
Depends.
Well, we sent to the municipal league conference and Senator Manchin got in front of us and said, this is the Inflation Reduction Act. And from my following of the issue, that bill was passed because according to Senator Manchin, he was promised some kind of pipeline or some kind of fossil fuel, not kickback, but expansion. And now I feel like we've been solicited, and maybe I'm completely wrong here because it didn't come to me directly, but I feel like now we're being solicited to support his efforts in getting those things through Congress because they weren't in effect promised.
They were promised.
They were promised, there was, no- yeah, they weren't delivered. We passed what's really turned out to be a health environmental bill more so than a Inflation Reduction Act, in my opinion. And so council can do whatever they feel like they want to do. And I mean, it's one of those things where how do you vote against the troops, right? We don't want to sit here and vote against oil and gas. But I felt like we're kind of getting drug along for the ride here from perhaps Senator Manchin's lack of politics or his political path he's chosen. So all up to you guys. And like I said, I don't think the support is the wrong thing, but I just don't like it. And I don't like how it's been sold to us. I don't like listening to it, honestly. And that's just my personal opinion.
On
That's
this
where-
letter, you mean?
Well, just the whole process. And maybe I'm wrong there. I don't know how Orion Environment or Orion Strategies is involved. And I get the feeling we're writing letters of support from Senator Manchin to go up there and lay it before Congress and say, hey, we need to tackle fossil fuels or whatever his needs were.
Domestic production.
Yeah,
of
domestic production.
Oil and gas, which includes pipelines. And local drilling, which has suffered greatly. I mean, I just look at it at face value.
And I think that's how we're being asked to look at it, and I don't disagree that we need, I know, domestic production is down 2 million barrels since the administration has changed, and so we need to change that picture. I just feel like I said, the Inflation Reduction Act was sold to us with a different way of being sold to us, and now we're asked to kind of provide cover there. So that's my thoughts.
So, however, this letter is in support of the
Do you have a philosophical viewpoint, Councilman Miller?
I do.
I'm shocked.
Speaking of things being taken at face value, and we've already taken the ARPA money at face value, so maybe we should consider this letter as not being what we should do.
Really?
Yeah.
Shouldn't do it?
What? No,
You first wanted your name on it.
I did, but
Neil, take on this evening.
just wanted to make sense. But
Politician, right?
anything that has to do with politics at a national level, I don't really care to support or acknowledge the support of, because they're just, like I said, selling us bill of goods. We should consider governing our small little community and doing that and not playing into national politics, even though it does affect us. We know so little about all the dealings that I don't know. It's like I said, they say one thing and then you find out it's something else later.
Councilman Curtis, do you have something you'd like to add about this?
Well, that'd be a big conflict of interest for me.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to either support a letter to Senator Manchin or to not take any action on the letter of support. It's up to council. No, we can't. It's on the agenda. Have a motion in front of you to take no action on the letter of support. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? We'll have voting by roll call.
Councilwoman Sherry Rogers.
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Gump. Yes. Councilman Hurt Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries. Last Reports of city council. Thing that I want to bring up is coffee with the mayor tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at the coffee house. Everybody who is there. And all new city employees, city staff, that Nate's going to be there. Any city council members, you're certainly welcome. Okay, next, Ward 1.
I agree. We pushed through all of that agenda in 2 hours. That's phenomenal, record time. Shows our staff efficiency. I want to thank our staff for everything that you do. Also, I see you, all of you, out in the community volunteering, and that's really important. You guys lead by example. I wanted to point that out and appreciate all the effort that you put into our community on and off the clock. Thank you.
Are we on YouTube?
Yes.
Good. I would just like to take Ward 2 and extend an invitation to Senator Manchin to come and explain all the things that's involved with these bills that he's wanting our support on. Thank you.
I'm not. Again, appreciating city staff for all their work, their hard work. Welcome to Joseph. And I think the last time that your wife was having a baby, right? What did you have?
We had a baby girl.
Well,
She's 4 months old.
congratulations, congratulations. I remember, I didn't remember that. Again, appreciating everybody in the community, echo the sentiments of volunteering. I'd like to thank everybody who showed up at the Neighborhood Watch Ward 3 outing. I appreciated the invitation to Councilman Bowens. It was very nice. I'm sorry, I was kind of quarantining myself because you're Sherry, and I look forward to attending Councilman Curtis's to get a idea of what the public. I think these were very good because that's transparency. We were out there. We were available for questions from anybody, from any ward, and I was able to meet and greet with some of my constituents with their issues. So I really appreciate that, and I think that needs to continue. We talked about politics once.
I don't have much. I would also like to echo Councilwoman Gump's comment to the city staff, all the hard work you guys do, and would like to make an announcement that Ward 4 community meeting will be held next Tuesday on September 13th at 5:00 p.m. at the Masonic Temple on the first floor in Ballroom. I'd like to thank also the street department for all their hard work and all the milling and stuff in Ward 4 and all the other wards as well. And all the work they're doing, and the blacktop is getting ready to take place. And with that, I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Tuesday the 13th.
Tuesday, 13th, 5:00.
Right.